let's go ahead and get the show on the road. My name is Bruce Cronquist. Thanks for showing up today. The talk is Hacking the Virtual, Digital, and Personalized Onboarding Journey for STEM Graduates. And I'd like to go ahead and welcome our two presenters today. Get the name scrolled on here. Yeah, Jennifer Silverest and Jessica Burke from Cisco Systems. And I'll let both of you go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Bruce, and welcome to our session today. I am Jennifer Silverest. I am a part of CX Enablement. I am a leader as well as a learning architect myself. I have spent 3 years at Cisco, and then before Cisco was a senior leader and learning architect at another organization. Way back when, I was an elementary school teacher in the state of North Carolina. My master's degree is in instructional technology.
And I'm Jessica Burke. I am an emerging talent manager with Customer Experience Academy at Cisco, and have been there for about 2.5 years. And prior to joining that team, I worked at executive development in UNC and with student affairs and living learning communities at Hofstra University up in Long Island. So if any of y'all in the audience, I know it's up at Columbia. I'm a true Jersey girl. So for any of the audience members that are up north, hello. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what Customer Experience Academy is. I know I referenced that. So just to start the conversation about who we are, Customer Experience Academy supports the development of emerging talent within the customer experience, the division of Cisco's business operations. Globally, we onboard more than 1,000 people a year with the goal that each new hire is prepared and ready to make an impact by the time they reach their permanent team. We've got a variety of programs that run 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. And we partner with the business to understand what their needs are so that we can better prepare their new hires so that they're ready to hit the ground running, so to speak, whenever they get to the team. But you'll get to see a little bit about what that partnership and design process looks like here today whenever we are walking you through what this new program looks like.
So on the agenda for today, we're going to go through and talk with you about what we were trying to solve. What was that challenge? Go through the analysis piece. What were the steps that we took, as well as design and development. And then Jessica is going to take over and really walk through the implementation and the outcomes and the results. And then we've got time at the end saved for QA. So what are we trying to solve?
Got a little ahead of myself. Sorry about that.
No worries. So, thinking about this program, we're taking university graduates and bringing them in to a corporate environment. So it's bridging that university system over into the corporate system and trying to look at how are we going to possibly be successful at the end of this program so that each graduate will be role ready. They can jump into their job and begin work immediately. With this program, it was brand new. So the challenge was we had no previous knowledge of this role, this organization, nor any working relationships at that time. So we had a lot of work to do and a lot of groundwork to lay in order to get things moving. For this specific pilot program, we had a total of 17 hires that came from 2 different roles. First one, software engineers, the other would be business analysts. It was spread across 2 separate organizations within Cisco. So if you imagine different leadership, different processes, just differences in many things that they would be doing. They would also be pipelining into 13 separate teams. So 17 people going into 13 teams, and each team had unique specialties. So at very initial, it was 8 primary technologies, 5 secondary technologies, and at a minimum 3 tools that they needed to be able to cover and use. So why this program? It's a very specialized program, being that we support emerging talent coming in. It's very formalized. It's cohort style. So you kind of get this experience of going through it together. And for the first 3 months, there's a goal of role readiness at the end. When transitioning to the team, they kind of graduate and they leave the program and go to their assigned manager and with their team. So what we do and specialize in, definitely what Jessica and her team specialize in, is meeting the new hire where they are, their capabilities, and creating a customized learning experience. And that is definitely what we had to do here. We needed to orient them to Cisco and to the organization. We needed to provide an engaging and consistent with a support model type of a program, because they definitely needed that support. And we wanted to make sure that there was real life application. Next. Now, when looking at a starting point, bridging the gap between university classroom over to corporate, we know that there's some challenges. So challenges on the left, things like there may be some gaps in soft skills. They may need some help with relationship building. They may need assistance with virtual productivity. We are very much in a virtual environment. How can we make them productive where they're in the comfort of their own home, but yet there are all of these requirements of them. Also, working across cultures and generations. Cisco is a global company. We have locations across India, across Europe, across the US, down into Mexico City as well, and in other countries. We're global. And also many generations. You're going to work with multiple generations across within your own project team, as well as within extended teams. Also, tribal knowledge can be a challenge. It's a challenge to access it. And then networking as well. Solution. So we always acknowledge here's our challenges, but now how are we going to solve for them? So it's a global curriculum framework that not only supports the hard skills of what they need to know, but also the soft skills, and that we tie them to competencies so that we can measure for success. There's clearly defined program outcomes. So when they're coming in, they know exactly what to expect and what their milestones are and how they're going to then be measured against those milestones. We not only focus on what they need to know, but who do they need to know, because immediately they need to start building their support network so they can access the tribal knowledge that they need in order to get help on small tasks or they have questions. We lean towards a 70-20-10 model as far as making sure that there is increased role clarity, they have those feedback opportunities, and we're always looking at the education, the exposure, the experience, and the environment. And we call that the 4 E's. 70-20-10, it's all about learning. 10% of what we learn is within a formal training environment. 20% of what we learn comes from social, such as having mentor relationships, coaching opportunities, and being able to have a community to reach out to. And then 70% of how we learn is by doing the actual job. So we make sure that we provide those opportunities. We also looked at what are common modules that are pulling the participants into a cohort so that they can network as well as build camaraderie. Rather than being the one new person on the team, everyone is new. So everyone is going through this experience together, and they've got someone who's going to be at the helm to lead them through. And then have opportunities for participants to meet leaders and others within that organization. Very important. All right, next. So analysis, how did we do this? And I'm just going to do this high level because this is just program strategy start to finish. From an instructional design perspective, we definitely follow pieces of ADDIE. So we go through analysis, we go through design, we go through definite design review and approval. This is where we engage the stakeholders and bring them into our process, and then we begin to develop. We started the journey in February, and we were ready to begin the cohort in August. Next. So the design and the development, let's go ahead and dive into this one. The first step we did was to identify core common building blocks. We wanted to make sure we understood how with the 4 E's. We wanted to make sure that we understood who, the generation coming in, as well as having the computer science background. We knew that that was a requirement coming into Cisco for software engineers. And then we needed to understand what are they going to be doing in order to be role ready. So what were the expectations of those hiring managers when they would be released back into the teams, and then having success as far as completing milestones. But then also, what did they need to know in order to meet those milestones, in order to meet the performance criteria for the virtual environment? So being able to pull out those core modules, the technology, the tools, the processes, the professional soft skills, as well as culture, and then getting oriented into Cisco. So next, we're going to focus on design and development. So we identified core building blocks. Orientation, think of this as the first week to possible first 2 weeks of getting oriented within Cisco. There were certifications that were possible, as well as the professional soft skills. There's technical training that was needed. We had to identify milestones. And then most importantly, we had to identify what are they going to do that's going to be reflective of on the job, making sure that learning was experiential. Next. So from common to customized, starting at the bottom, it's that core curriculum, those pillars I just mentioned. So build in the support via cohort networking, team building, social events, making it a fun environment, an engaging environment. Also, having some customized orientation where not only are they getting oriented into Cisco, but oriented into their organization. So they have opportunities to meet future leaders that they are going to be working for, as well as different teams across that organization. We also had a very customized professional skills program that was for them and had role plays, role-centric activities just for them so that they could practice that interaction. And then ongoing development as far as workshops, professional development opportunities, Cisco culture, and then exposure to the business. On that foundation, we built also the skill building and the project work. And the project work is huge. So for skill building, it's looking at what are the technical trainings that they need for their team, because 13 teams, each team had a specialty. Hands-on project work where they actually had a business project that they worked on and that fulfilled the business requirements, and they were expected to report out their results on that and have a presentation. Those projects were assigned and they were monitored by the business team as well as the CXA program manager to make sure that things were going well. And that work correlated with those technical trainings. So definitely Jessica will go into what that framework looked like, but you'll see that the technical trainings tied into what they needed to be able to do within that project work so that we had some good application. They went through the self-paced learning and then applied what they learned into the project work that they were doing. That helped with adding skill development in such a condensed amount of time. And then for the capstone, this is like the ultimate milestone for them before graduating the program and leaving. It was completion of all of the standard compliance trainings that are there, completion of all business assigned technical training, having midpoints with their mentors as well as their managers, because we didn't want to exclude them from the program. They needed to be brought in and be able to be part of building that network and getting access to tribal knowledge. So having the business managers and mentors there were very important. And then having a successful delivery of their final capstone presentation. Very important. Presentation skills as a soft skill, as a professional skill, is huge. Being able to present to your team, being able to present to a larger audience, and being able to present at various levels is very important. So definitely a skill that we build upon within the program. Now, to give you an example of how we created a customized approach, 13 teams with at least 8 core technologies across. What I did is pulled a database of these are all the technologies that are common across. And then we used a self-assessment before they entered the program so that they could gauge their comfort level. And we did this very simple, very easy. We used an Excel spreadsheet, and then we created a form that we could send out as a survey. They responded within the timeline that we asked for, and then we were able to go through, or I say we, but really in reality, it was Jessica. She went through and looked at what were those confidence levels and how did they feel for Python, for learning AWS, what was their confidence level with GitHub and MongoDB, different software engineer technologies. And that enabled us to then establish what is the level that they can come at as far as where do they start, instead of having everyone start with level 1 Python foundations, Python basics. Instead, it was, you're very confident in this. Perhaps you need to begin at the second level of Python rather than the first level because you already are, very well as far as that knowledge is concerned in that technology. So it allowed us to get a little bit more personalized so that everyone had their prescriptive place to begin for their self-paced learnings. And that also helped with forming what the project would be for them. All right, next. And this is a overview view of the curriculum. Looking at across 3 months, there's that core piece. So thinking of professional skills, technology, the orientation piece, milestones. Then there was the customized learning. Each person had their own self-paced assigned list of trainings and also a place where they began, whether that was like a level 1 or level 2 starting place. They also had on-the-job training where they did shadowing so that they could really get a feel of what is this role and what am I going to be doing. They got on hands-on application and support, and then they got their own customized learning and project work. They split their day with formalized opportunities for learning, their self-paced, etc., and then they had 3 to 4 hours of opportunities for the on-the-job piece. And then there are assessments and opportunities for feedback. The examples are shown below where there's definitely a new hire checklist so they know and they can track themselves. They get one-on-one time. They get to practice their presentations as well as deliver a midpoint, which is somewhat of a milestone. And then they move towards their capstone practice and then capstone delivery at the end. So that's kind of a full view of what the program looked like. So now I'm going to hand it over to Jessica so she can talk you through the implementation of the program.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay, so let's talk. Jennifer and her team did a lot of research and design and then trusted us to work magic after the fact. So let's show you how we ran with what she gave us. And I'll preface, Jennifer did a wonderful job explaining that the entire work that their team did was very much a collaborative approach, and our work with the implementation continued to be both with her team and and then also with the business and the teams that would be receiving these new hires. There were many touch points, both with onboarding these new hiring managers who had not ever heard of our program before. It was a surprise to them to say, surprise, your new hire is going to go through this amazing program. So we had to teach them all about what this program experience was going to be, and work with them to help identify mentors on their team and walk through the process of customizing trainings and identifying project work, and maybe giving them some structure and templates and things like that so that it would fit within the framework of our program and all of those things. So many steps, but rather than show you all of the templates and paperwork, we're going to walk you through the eyes and sort of the framework of Kayla, who is one of our participants who was in the pilot. So let's meet Kayla. Kayla was a graduate of Fairleigh Dickinson University up in New Jersey. She had a bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics, and it was short of a 4-month internship that she did as a software developer, which was not with Cisco. She didn't really have a whole lot of corporate experience, so she was fresh out of college. Like Jennifer mentioned, we did have her do her pre-program assessment. So we sent her the form, and she filled out sort of how she was feeling about those competencies and each of those. And I should mention, these are the technical skills for the software engineer. Each of the roles within the program has a very customized skill set for each one. But this is Kayla's, because she was going into the software engineer role. From there, I took Kayla's competencies and where she felt like she was sitting with each of the skill sets, and I met with her hiring manager and said, this is where she feels like she is, and where do you feel like you need her to be, and what is on your team right now in terms of project work and your business need, and help me fill the gaps and customize her skill sets based on what we're going to assign. So Yanu said, oh, well, it's really great that she's strong in some areas, but I really need her to get strong in Python, because the coming work that we're going to give her is really going to be heavy on Python. So I provided him the opportunity to sort of go shopping on the menu of the database that Jennifer's team created. And he selected the coursework that he wanted Kayla to be working through, several of which were the Python courses. He picked a couple others as well. And we took those selections and converted all of that into what ended up being Kayla's customized learning plan. So you'll see at the bottom, everyone, Kayla included within the program, had that set of standard onboarding, compliance training, everything, that is that core customized or core foundation. And then up at the top, we had a set of ranked, unique custom curriculum that was specific to Kayla. You'll probably do a little bit of math over there and be like, oh, that's a lot of hours. We'll circle back to that when we get to outcomes and learn lessons learned. So we'll that was a lesson learned in terms of how much we might assign. So we'll put an earmark there. I'll circle back to that, but we did do a lot of Python with Kayla. Let's see. Next, we also worked with Yanu to identify and work through the details of the project work that he was going to assign Kayla. Naturally, any manager of a new hire is going to be assigning work to their new hire, but really wanted to put some structure around what it was, sort of the bones for a Gen Z coming in. They like a little bit more of an explanation, an introduction, and then we felt like this might be helpful for helping them think through how that will translate to benefit the team and the business, what exact skill set from technical skill set they will need to be able to complete it so that it feeds directly into what we are assigning them, just to be sure that everything was interconnected whenever we were working with them. So we took this, but rather than read all of this technical, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Kayla's project. Project Sherlock was a bot. And when you think bot, don't think about the little box at the bottom of a website where you aimlessly type questions that never get answered. This is so much better than that. It is a customer support that actually takes cases from the channel of a customer submission from the plate of a network engineer. So it recognizes an actual solution. It knows how to resolve it. And it says, oh, I'll take that for you, and resolves it without an actual engineer ever having to get involved. So she actually had a part of being in the design work of that bot. So, which is really cool, and not only really cool, but met a team need. It lines specifically with the business and teams organization to automate 80% of their deliverables. Then also clearly with hands-on impactful work that she enjoyed. You may not be able to read the text over there, but she also had a little fun customizing his personality. He was quite the funny character, so had a little bit of humor in there too, which was fun. And then was very strongly tied to the technical skill set that she was using with the API and the Python. So really met the needs of both her learning the emphasis on the 70% of the application and the educational component, and then also the team needs. And you're thinking, how do you do all of this in this amount of time? What does her day-to-day look like? The program is extremely customized for the flexibility. Really, no day at Cisco, no day within the program is the same. But short of the orientation week and maybe the professional skills week, where we're working on soft skills and presentation skills, for the most part, the 3-month program really can flex around the team and business and project need to be sure that they can get that exposure that we want them to be getting. So it is really awesome in that sense. So you'll see sort of a mock schedule here where some days there may be more focus on job shadowing and customer facing, or spending time in labs, or working on bots and things like that. And other times she might be doing something with her mentor, or a workshop series for professional design on presentations, or something with her cohort. So it really was a day-to-day was a different experience to give her that variety within the program. All right, so we'll fast forward just a little bit and tell you what Kayla's program outcomes look like. She did 165 hours of technical training, which was quite a lot. She was a little bit of an overachiever, but she is quite the all-star. I won't read you all of the metrics, but I will point out that she did achieve the Python certification, which was above and beyond. It was not a requirement, but she went on to complete additional time and coursework within the Python, since she had already done so much and achieved that certification. And then the Project Sherlock that she was doing with her team and was very impactful with, went on to be nominated for the Best of We finalists, which is an internal Cisco peer nominated awards process. And to be nominated is just a really awesome thing, but to become a finalist is just really awesome. And for that to happen within her first 3 months is just wonderful for her to have been part of something that great. So very, very cool work that she was able to do. So, but it wasn't all just about Kayla. So let's talk a little bit about other people's outcomes and feedback and lessons learned. So we'll start with the managers. Overall, I would say that we had, for a pilot and a fairly short runway to get as many managers onboarded and on the same page, with some surprises, very effectively met their needs. Some small adjustments. I expected many small adjustments. So that is something that we took note throughout the program as we were running it and tweaking along the way. So we were thrilled to have received such feedback. And I've noted here, what better feedback than to say, not only did we bring in and provide the skills to our emerging talent, but less stress on the manager. Who doesn't like that? They felt like we prepared their people and they didn't have to lift a finger. To have a partner that you can trust do that for you and still have a prepared new hire made us feel really good and really trusted. So really happy to have received that feedback. And I'll say, I guess, I don't know why I didn't put this on the slide, but they, the same business partner, doubled the headcount of the number of people that they're putting through the program this coming year. So we're in the process of setting up the cohort for August 1st to kick off, and they've doubled the number of people that they're sending through the program. And if that's not a sign of trust and satisfaction, I don't know what is. So I was really pleased with their decision to do that. So I don't know why I didn't do that. And then participant feedback. The quote here, it continues to be reflective of Kayla, but what I did was I went through all of the feedback and comments that we've received from the entire cohort and created a word cloud. And valuable work and training and those technical those things I think I expected to come out of a program with a design like this, because we really were intentional about the design and what we were putting into it. But to see things like ABLE and community and support, and most importantly, cohort, that was very important for us, for them to have that connection, especially at a time where we are remote. This entire program was designed, delivered remotely. So for folks to be spread across the United States and in a remote environment, for them to feel as connected as they do. In fact, some folks live in 3 separate cities and are planning a trip together to go to Seattle later this summer. So it just is really nice personally to feel like we have not only developed new hires professionally, but friends and coworkers and a network. So personally, that seeing that made me feel very good. But so overall, very good feedback. But again, a pilot or any program is not without lessons learned. So we do have a few of those. I'd say strengthening the project work guidance, which came as a result of some feedback. Again, I think, as I mentioned before, most of the students coming out of university now, I think, really do like a little bit. There's no such thing as too much information. So, give me the structure, give me the guidance about what it is you want me to be working on. So working with the business and each of the teams and managers to try to get them, get some guidance about, examples and templates, and hey, this is sort of a replica of maybe the project that you've been working on, or an example of what kind of software you might have built, or something that will give them an idea. But also, I think giving new hires an understanding that it's difficult. It's customized work, and sometimes you just have to take it on faith that your managers and your mentors are going to guide you through it. So it is a little bit of, being part of the conversation, strengthening those relationships and those trust and those sorts of things. It really is part of the process. So that'll be a work in process. But then the other piece is surprisingly enough, more tailored technical trainings. I do think we did fairly well in the first time, but there were a couple opportunities that I think maybe we had, we could have tightened it up a little bit, where people maybe felt like, oh, well, maybe I should have been at like the next more challenging level, or felt like maybe they could have been doing something more challenging with their time. So what we've implemented this time around is a realignment meeting right around week 3. So we'll get them started, but we've built in opportunities specifically, not just to check in, but like specifically to align and say, do you feel like you've been challenged? Or, maybe an opportunity to assess like where they truly are with a specific skill set, to see whether or not there should be some adjustment. While we're only 3 weeks in, not three months, just to be able to pivot if we needed to. So those are some of the conversations. We did refine also the competency self-assessment. I added some additional words and phrasing. So not only just a scale and average, below average, more than average. I said, exceptional and use the skill on a daily or regular basis. So like, how frequently are you actually using the skill? Not did you just take a class in it, so that it could be much more clear, because a class is great, and an A in that class is great, but if you took it 3 months ago or 3 semesters ago, and you haven't used it since, it probably isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. So those are sort of the conversations and the thoughts that went into tailoring some of those things. So those are some lessons learned. Let's see. We've come to the fun part. We've come to the fun part of the conversation, where y'all get to talk to us. So Jennifer and I would love to answer any questions that you have about the presentation, the program, anything that we might have bubbled up along the way.
Yeah, put a note in the chat to go ahead and post any questions there, or if there's any in the room, just go and let us know. I'll kind of do a hopefully quick question to kick things off. Did you notice any uptick in like the application rate of these people wanting to come back to Cisco, and or an increase in the job offer rate, pre and post this program?
So the one thing that I would say is that we get a lot more referrals. So I've had folks that are alum of this program reach out and say, hey, like, I've shared how much I really love my team, my role. This program was amazing. They've worked other places and they've not ever felt like they've had an onboarding program before. They just sort of get dropped in a deep end someplace. So that has definitely generated some word of mouth that I think will help us in the long run, definitely attract young talent.
And Bruce, they do come in as they are recruited and hired as full-time employees. So they get their, I'm sorry, Jessica, what did you say?
Like directly from university. So they're still students when they sign with us.
Oh, okay. And then they go through the program as a full-time employee. So it's going through, and we're investing in the buildup of the skills, the upskilling, so that when they're ready in the program, they graduate, they go to their teams and continue that work, continue those relationships that they've built, and could hopefully continue the road of networking with others in order to build more knowledge for themselves. And I'd probably say, and Jessica can speak to more of this as well, this is a new program for the Academy, but the Academy is not new. We have a very large population of technical engineers that come through the program across the world. And the tenure of an engineer that goes through this program, because not all new hires go through this program. Mm-hmm. Those that do come through this program stay at Cisco longer because of the success that they feel that they're set up for when they leave.
Yep, that is 100% true. I believe that the metric is 89% more likely to remain at Cisco in comparison to emerging talent in similar roles. So that alone, I think, has really helped. That the retention number has helped increase the number of folks that are coming through our programs. People want to attract and then also retain. So it's definitely increased our business.
That's an awesome number. Now, you're able to see the chat. There's 2 questions that have just come up in chat from an online participant, or I can read them to you if you want.
This one looks a little bit more like Jennifer's alley, to share a little bit more about the theoretical framework used whenever you were originally thinking about the design.
Yeah, so I would say it all began with the analysis and being able to first get and capture what is the audience, who are we serving, what do they need to know, and what do they need to be able to do. And as a result of that analysis, I realized there's this huge span of technical expertise, as well as there may be a span of other core topic areas. And with that, I started to work on how am I going to solve for this, and how am I going to pull together a learning experience that's going to then enable some independent, personalized learning to happen, but bring them together for those core common areas and allow for that camaraderie. Because in education, we're focused on what do they need to know, but you've got to think about that environment piece. That is huge. That is what this program is for. This program is to bring people together and connect them across the country, and in other locations, connect them across the world and build those relationships so that they're not the new kid on the block when they join their team. Instead, they've got friends they can connect with and say, hey, I don't know what to do here. Do you? Or connecting with a mentor. So it was pulling all of those pieces together and then pulling that learning framework from scratch, knowing a little bit from our other programs and leveraging some of that, and knowing what the outcomes needed to be. I was able to pull that together, but it was very much analysis, then design, getting that circulated with the managers, getting their thoughts and their opinions, bringing that back in order to make some changes and updates, and then developing, this is now what the program will look like. Again, socializing with those managers in order to ensure they understood, yep, this is it, we commit, this is what we're going to go through. So it was very traditional ADDIE, but also very much personalized and catered to what this program needed based on those outcomes that the business said, this is the reason why this program. Did that help answer your question? And on a side note, Jessica did upload our presentation to the conference site, so you can see all the slides that we just went through, as well as this very last slide. Our contact information is there. So please feel free to email us if you have questions, or if you'd like to have a chat and talk about something, a challenge you're experiencing. Please don't hesitate. It's there for you. And thank you, Bruce. Bruce also put in chat info at learningideasconf.org.
Cool. There's questions from the room to just go and let us know in chat or unmute there. That'd be fine.
Yeah, there's no question in the room. We're fine.
All right.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure. We appreciate you letting us share our story with you. And like Jennifer said, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions after letting everything bubble and percolate a little bit. We'd be happy to share and chat afterwards.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. Jennifer, thanks for your time and the presentation. It was awesome. Very informative.
So much. Bye.